Been trying to think of an intro to this video, but kind of hard because I'm all over the place, just like how this kind of album is, I think. But yeah, what's up, everyone? It's your boy Matt Diazabo coming at you with a new music review. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for coming by, liking, subscribing, all that stuff, or not. It's all cool. I appreciate it anyway. Today, I am checking out the latest album from. I'm really surprised I'm checking this out because I didn't know he dropped an album, but I'm excited to do it. And that is Machine Gun Kelly, MGK, with his newest album, Lost Americana. MGK is a very, I guess you could say, unique and divisive artist these days. He started his career as a rapper back in 2000, I think 12, and like working his way up in the rap game and everything. But as of like around 2018, 2020, if you're not too familiar, he got into a beef with Eminem, and that was like a really hot moment when they were going back and forth, just dissing each other and coming up with different rap songs and everything. And a lot of people think he lost that little beef, and then he switched over to pop punk music because he got beat so bad he couldn't be in rap anymore. Kind of funny. I was watching from afar, and like everyone else was and everything. And it's just funny how he transitioned into this other genre, and he's been jumping through different genres in his career recently, and it seems like he's just making everyone upset wherever he goes. He just does not seem to be pleasing a lot of people in terms of like, I think, older people and stuff. It seems like the newer generation messes with MGK a lot, but it's very split between like either liking him or not liking him at all. So I'm pretty excited to talk about this album because it's a little bit different from my wheelhouse. So let's see. With this latest MGK album, Lost Americana, I feel like it's a tug of war between, glossy production and then just undercooked deliveries. It's an album where, the textures and the arrangements of the songs often like outshine the main star of MGK. So as a listener, I feel like you get caught between this world of being like impressed by the polished production of this music, but then you get frustrated from like his own style and the things that could have been if he had just went in a different direction. Right from the get-go with the song Outlaw Overture, the record really kind of sets a huge process 80s style song here with heavy synths and booming drums. It's a dramatic and cinematic piece, but the impact of the song is kind of dulled by MGK's flat delivery and his questionable lyrical content. And I feel like the music wants to soar really high and be some really good music that can be quite lasting, but it doesn't really match up with his flat and kind of off-putting vocal delivery, which kind of is a lingering issue throughout much of this album. His producers are giving him the ammunition he needs to make a really good album here. He's got layers, swelling productions, really punchy textures, but it feels like MGK himself is not really taking control of this like ride, and he's just going along with the ride, and he's not really contributing too much. But when he leans into more sincerity when it comes to his music, the album kind of finds its footing. Songs like Miss Sunshine and Sweet Coraline, I think it's hilarious how that song's like chorus goes and everything, but that aside and everything, prove that he can deliver something that is quite heartfelt with really good arrangements when things are stripped down and quite direct. And the latter in particular kind of benefits from deeper bass and twangy guitars. And on this particular track, MGK kind of sounds more present and a little bit more believable than he does on the louder, more bombastic tracks. And on the back half of the album with the songs Can't Stay Here and Treading Water, there seems to be a surprising weight to the record because his voice is carrying a lot of conviction against a nice acoustic backdrop. These moments where his like bravado kind of just drops away and the focus is more simple in terms of emotion stand out as possibly some of his best performances to date, or even just on this record. Unfortunately, for every like glimpse of growth, there's a huge stumble on this record. Songs like Cliche and Don't Wait, Run Fast kind of showcase his knack for writing some kind of hooky choruses, but are dragged down by bland vocal delivery and lyrics that feel a bit of like, they're like placeholder lyrics than actually polished thoughts. Goddamn tries really hard to be this big like stadium anthem-like song, but it falls apart under really weak writing and just over-processed climaxes. Vampire Diaries is both fun and cringe at the same time, leaning really hard into, if some people remember, MySpace era emo dramatics. coming from an old MySpace emo kid himself, I will say it does land. I could see it landing for some people, but for others, it feels like more like a parody than an actual genuine like fun emo song. And there's some moments on this album where MGK tries to stretch back into the rap game. And on Indigo, he's got a really cool dark synth like beat and everything. I will say the female vocals set are very moody, but also have a bit of a washed out glitchiness to it that isn't the greatest. And also his flow kind of feels a bit rusty and though to his credit, the song kind of gets better and groovier as it goes along, and he seems a little bit more tight and more locked in with his rapping. But the first verse just doesn't really do it that well. But you know, he lands it in the end. And then you have the song Tell Me What's Up, and it feels like an attempt to be quite introspective over a very piano-driven song and beat. But it feels a little undercut by himself because, well, not by himself, but he undercuts it by, you know, having a little bit of like immature writing. So sadly, the song feels more like a rough draft of what could have been a better song. And I would say one of the weakest moments on this album comes from the song Starman, where MGK borrows the chorus of the big hit song Semi-Charmed Life, but he doesn't really rework it in any way. He changes up the tempo a little bit, but he doesn't change any of the lyrics, and you know, it doesn't really make it his own. He's just literally borrowing it verbatim. And at first, when I first heard it, I was like, oh, this is a little bit cheeky, a little bit fun. But then he kept reusing it for each chorus. And I felt like, oh, this is quite lazy, really relying on nostalgia bait to get people to, you know, get into the song and kind of be creative, but it lacks a lot of creativity. All he had to do was probably just change up some lyrics and, you know, have the beat and everything, and it would have been pretty interesting. And it's moments like these that, you know, really highlight, I guess, MGK's ongoing tension, and that is he wants to be clever, but it seems like he never really puts in the work to elevate his references beyond just really surface level nods. He can do better if he just tries harder. And so by the time you get to the closing track here, I think it's called Ophoros, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but MGK seems to be like reaching for something a little bit deeper and more mature. The softer pianos and introspective tones really show that he's trying to evolve his sound. But the lyrics on this particular song feel a little bit underdeveloped, like he's still stuck in the past a little bit, and he hasn't really caught up with his current self. So it's like caught between these two worlds. It's kind of a fitting way to end the album. It's kind of promising, but it's not fully realized. And I feel like that's a lot of the problems with this album. And Lost Americana, I gotta say, it's a bit polished. It's quite diverse and ambitious. I'll give him that. But it's just so uneven. The production and the song arrangements are constantly strong. He's got a good team behind him. But really, when MGK kind of strips things back and just does like more simple stuff, he sounds more genuine than anything I've heard from him before. But too often, weak lyrics and flat delivery really undercut his impact. The album does show growth in terms of like, you know, the acoustic tracks and the more introspective moments at times, but it also exposes MGK's struggle to constantly match the quality of the sounds surrounding him. To put it simply, it's a mixed bag, this record, Lost Americana from MGK. It has impressive production and flashes of sincerity, but it's dragged down by bland delivery and half-baked writing. So overall, I would give it up to MGK, this latest album he's put out. I put it at an okay to passable 6 out of 10. Links down below. Tell me what you think about this album. What other MGK albums? Should I check out his old albums? I'm thinking about, I've never listened to the ones that when he switched over to pop punk or even some of his, well, I've listened to some of his rap songs, but never a full album. So tell me if I should check that out. And until next time, guys, see you in the pit.